today, and now you feel fat today also. You're welcome. And now there's a podcast.
Welcome to I Feel Fat Today, the show where we dispel diet myths, see what's new in diet culture, and investigate your relationship with food. I'm your host, Kelly Taylor. Thank you for joining me. We are back. Happy New Year. I know I may have gone away for a little bit, and I may have done that a few times in the past, but I'm back now. Happy 2026. New year, new me, same old podcast, kind of, but not really. Look, I'm sorry about the random hiatuses. I'm going to, get that out of the way first and foremost. And I know I have a habit of doing this. The problem is with me, I tend to have a rough Q4. The last two Q4s have been a little bit rough for me personally, and I find some things fall to the wayside. And sometimes one of those things can be the thing that I'm most proud of, which is this, podcast. And so, I know I have some splaining to do. I know to be successful, I need to have new eps every week, and it's, always my goal to reach that. But I'm gonna rewrite the story in my life of what, the last quarter of the year is for me. I like what I mean by that is, when I say rewrite the story, I had a story in my head, for example, that every January or February, I would get like debilitatingly sick. I would get a case of, the flu or whatever. And I would just be like down and out, bedridden for 2 weeks. And I just that was always the story. It's just like, okay, every January, February, I get sick. And then one year I didn't. And I was like, wait a second. I don't have to get sick this time of year, every year. And I just kind of put it in my head that like, I don't get sick anymore. And for the most part, for what it's worth, I really don't get sick, and so anymore. So I need to apply that to my life in the last quarter of the year. It's not that it hasn't been without cause that the last 2 years, 2024 and 2025, that I haven't been good about getting my episodes out weekly. In August of 2024, I lost my father-in-law, Joe's stepdad, and that was such an absolutely devastating blow. And I put out the episodes that I had banked already, put out one final, gonna be taking a break kind of episode, and then eventually came back. I think we ended up coming back in, kind of like this first week of 2025. And then this past year, again, in August, actually the day before the 1-year anniversary of my father-in-law passing away, my best friend's mom passed away suddenly. And so it was like reliving that again. And obviously the pain any pain I felt during that time when she passed, was not mine in the way that it was obviously my friend's pain, or even, Joe's pain when his dad died. But it was just kind of something that knocked me off my axis. I really went into like a drop everything mode to be there for my friend. And at the same time, my grandmother got sick and, had to kind of go and not be in New York and be in New Jersey to be with my family for whatever that's worth. My cat Babastis was diagnosed with cancer during that time. I think a few weeks before August, and he subsequently passed in October. So with all those things happening, it just, the depression, the anxiety, just everything to get back to recording, it wasn't in the cards. But I'm here now. I'm back. And I am excited. I'm excited for what, 2026 has to bring. Knock on wood, obviously, but I feel good about this year. And I cringe every time I say that because I remember going into 2020 thinking like, new decade, we're here, we're going to do it. And then 2020 was what 2020 was. So, I think ever since that, there's like this collective traumatization where we all kind of are like, this is our year, pandemic depending or whatever, outside forces depending. And so, but yeah, we're back and I'm excited to connect. I have, in this last few months, have had really great opportunities where I've been able to kind of get in front of more people and, get eyes on the pod. And it's a shame I wasn't getting episodes out during that time because you lose traction. And I'm determined for that to not happen in 2026. And I have gone through in my hiatus and recorded some episodes. So I do have a bit of a bank so that, should my schedule get thrown off in the new year, I hopefully am not in a position where an episode doesn't come out. But yeah, and unless otherwise stated, episodes every Friday. I don't think I'm going to be changing the release date during the week anytime soon. Maybe if, I find that it's better for the algorithm, the almighty algorithm, to change the day that these episodes drop. But I Feel Fat Today Friday just feels right. So, okay. I do want to dedicate a little bit of time, not a ton of time, but a little bit of time to talking about my dear Babastis. Anybody that has listened to I Feel Fat Today or mostly watched on YouTube in any capacity knows that when I record in my apartment, there are two animals here. We have Finnegan and we have Babastis. And Babastis has passed away. He passed away on October 25th. And it was such an incredibly difficult day. For him, it was, he was on gabapentin for a while after being diagnosed with mouth cancer. And it was an official diagnosis. We didn't run through getting the blood work done and everything because it would have been thousands. Well, we did blood work, but like we didn't go through like biopsying and all this stuff because it would have been thousands of dollars. He wasn't in a position health-wise between his FIV and his heart murmur and everything else that he had going on to even survive any kind of surgery. So the plan was, he has this mouth cancer. He, has this thing on his cheek inside that is like bleeding and is uncomfortable for him. So let's put him on the pain medicine. And the vet was even surprised that Bubs lasted as long as he did on that gabapentin. It was like, I think maybe 3 months, and which is a long time. And one day woke up and it was just like, it has to be time. Like, I was so afraid of like not knowing when the time would be. And just this reality of like, oh no, you will know, which is tragic in and of itself. But, I never in my life have had to kind of do that death march from, my home to the vet's office to put one of my beloved pets down. I never in my life have had to experience that. And I grew up with pets my whole life, dogs, cats, at my parents' house. But I had long left the house by the time it was time for anybody to be, put down. And so I was very disconnected from what that death process is like. Not to say I don't, love my son's past childhood pets, but it's just different. It's different when like, I'm an adult living on my own. Babastis was a cat that Babastis and Finny were my first animals of like, these are the animals I have that are truly mine, and not ones that I've gotten with friends or parents, whatever. And it was really awful. And I say this to say that if you are somebody that happens to be listening to this, going through any kind of grief, but more specifically pet grief, you are not insane for feeling the way that you are feeling. It is completely, rational for you to feel completely depressed and not wanting to do something, and not wanting to go out and do things, and or whatever the case may be. It is, you are well within your right to sit and feel the pain that you are feeling. Never in my life have I had to hold an animal in my arms and feel the life leave their body, as one does when you take them to the vet to go to sleep. And it was like nothing I've ever experienced. That whole process, that whole death process. And it was very hard. And going through that doesn't prepare you for anything in terms of like other animals in your life passing away. Like, if anything, it made me even more afraid for, the future animals I'll have to put down, when it's their time. And I think about Finny especially, and I'm just like, how am I going to continue to work? Like, how am I going to continue to do what I love when I'm going to, I don't know. I don't know. It's awful to think about, but, yeah. So that was, that was also something that came up in my time of not putting out episodes. And I have to say, so quick little story that's a little bit lighter in regards to Babasis's passing was, so I had a work trip for my day job immediately, like the very next day. So Babasis passed on a Saturday. I was flying out Sunday for a conference I was attending on Monday, and then flying home that same Monday to end up at work on Tuesday. So it was just like boom, 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 like really no time to feel like whatever. And where I was going, there was no direct flight. So I had to do layovers, both getting there and coming home. And I wake up Sunday morning, head to the airport. I had a layover in Dallas, and I go, you know what? I had a good like 4 hours until my next flight, something like that. I'm like, let me just sit at, the TJI Fridays and the airport TJI Fridays, and have some lunch, have a glass of wine, and decompress, because my only job that Sunday was just to get to the city and where I had the conference on Monday. And so I sit down, and I'm probably sitting at the bar for 15 minutes before I look up and notice that there is a sticker right in front of me of a cat that looks just like Babastis. Just like Babastis. And it took my breath away. I couldn't believe it. I'll put the photo here so that you can see on the screen. But it was so, I felt him with me, and I felt it is going to be okay. And when I was in the vet's office, in the room where Babastis was, going to be put down, They don't immediately put them to sleep. They first give them a drug where like they feel amazing, and they're sleeping but they're alive, and you kind of talk to your pet and whatever. And I just was crying, and almost instinctually, without even thinking, I like blurted out like, please send me signs, please send me signs, that so I know that you're okay, and please find these people, find Steve, find Corinne, like send me a sign when you're okay. And you know like 12 hours later, to be sitting in an airport I didn't want to be sitting in, going to a conference I didn't want to be going to, and to look up and see that sticker, it was just like, oh my God, I felt such a sense of relief. It was so amazing. And I just take such delight in like telling that story. So I wanted to share that here. And if you find yourself listening to this, I just want you to know that you are not alone in your grief, and what you're feeling is valid. I don't care if you lost an animal over a year ago and you still don't feel like you're right. You still don't feel like you're, handling things in the way that you should. It's okay and it's normal, and time really helps, and eventually you will get to a place where you feel better. And I didn't know how I would feel putting this, my stockings up for my Christmas decorations this year, and I still felt so happy to put Babassus' stocking up, even though he's not here. It was still something where he's not here physically, but he's here. So I wanted to share that. And yeah. Okay. I have a few things for today's episode. Obviously, with it being the new year, it's going to be all centered around, the new 2026, and just going into it, I feel like if you are somebody that struggles with any kind of relationship with exercise, a relationship with food, body image, that kind of thing, if you struggle with that kind of stuff, the new year can be a very triggering time, because you feel like it's the ultimate Monday. The new year is the ultimate. We'll start on Monday, and you can find yourself being led to a ton of disappointment. This is the time of year where you're going to find that, programs like Weight Watchers are on sale, or, gym memberships are maybe doing some kind of sale, because it's all to capitalize on people's need for that, like wanting to have a restart, rebrand. That's something I'm seeing trending online, is like the 2026. I'm so serious about my 2026 rebrand, which is all fine and great. And I think that, if you can use the new year as a jumping off point, then that's amazing. But for so many, it is this kind of like triggering time of year that leads to this February depression of, not only is it the coldest ever right now, especially in New York City, but it's dark and I failed at everything. So I wanted to take some time to go over a few things. And one of them is what I like to call reframe resolutions, trial and error. So I have a few listed here, not many, but the whole point of reframe resolutions is to go into the new year where you're not thinking so much about like, it's my resolution to get X, Y, or Z. You can really insert anything in that statement. And they feel like very hard and fast, strict rules where it's really, if you're not a self-starter, if you're somebody that needs like a little bit of guidance, like some bumpers on the bowling lane, having these hard and fast resolutions without any other, how-tos or context can be difficult. So I have a few here of like what are common resolutions, and kind of like, what is the reframe? Like, how can we trial and error this where it's not this kind of purity culture, start at day one and be consistent throughout to day 365. So first one, reframe resolutions. It's not, I want to read more. that's if you have a resolution, I want to read more. It's vague. It's pressure. It's putting pressure on yourself. I think like something that's a little bit less vague but still a ton of pressure is I want to read one book a month. Um, if you have a resolution to read one book a month, and then you get to March and you've read a quarter of a book, what are your chances of even finishing that book and picking up another one? If your goal was to read one book a month and it's March and you haven't even read one yet, instead of having a goal like I want to read more or I want to read a book a month, instead find out what you like to read. I think that something like reading is, there. If you're somebody that doesn't really like reading, you kind of are looked at as like a little bit of a dummy. Or if you're somebody that prefers audiobooks, you feel like you have to like put the caveat of like, oh, I didn't read it. I listened to the audiobook. There are people that say that listening to an audiobook is not the same as reading. Regardless, it doesn't matter. If you want to read more books, figure out what you like to read. I think for me personally, that was one of the bigger things of like, how can I read more if I don't know what I like to read? And it just so happened that they put a they opened a horror bookstore in my neighborhood. So I went and I checked it out, and I just was kind of like perusing and reading, the inside covers, and some of them looked interesting to me. So I thought, instead of buying like, $100 worth of books, let me see if I can find them at my library and go from there. And I realized I really love reading horror, and I've been ripping through books. Okay, that's a bit of an exaggeration. I've read one book thus far, but I'm excited for what others are to read, and I've been able to implement reading fiction books in my free time as opposed to watching TV or scrolling on TikTok. Not saying that those things are bad to scroll on your phone or watch TV, but it's nice to diversify the portfolio. So, reframe resolution, find out what you like to read in 2026. Don't put pressure on yourself. Okay, next one. I want to work out more. Again, vague. There's no bumpers on that bowling lane. What does that mean? Instead, find what type of movement works for you. Find out what you even like to do when it comes to working out. And then from there, you will be able to build on that, where each year it is not a fresh start, and I don't want to speak ad nauseum about my own relationship with exercise. Believe me, there will be plenty of time for that. But the thing that has helped me in being consistent with movement and feeling happy with the amount I am exercising is simply finding something that works for you. And if you think I hate working out, there isn't a single workout that I will find that I will enjoy. So that's not good advice. My sound advice is to start with stretching. Start with stretching because you'll feel so much better. First off, it's good for you to do that. And once you stretch and like you give your body the ability to relieve pain, you will find that you will have space for more intensive kind of working out. And maybe you don't even get to any kind of intensive working out. Maybe you end up just doing, 2 minutes of stretches in the morning and then taking the dog out for a 15-minute walk in the morning. And that is your movement practice. That is your workout regime for 2026. You will be able to build on that. And if you have the desire to do more, you'll be able to do more. Okay. Reframe resolution. Don't have the resolution, I want to find love. That was always one for me for many, many years before, being in the relationship I'm in now, where I was like, that my resolution is to find a boyfriend, is to find love. Instead, figure out what type of partner you want. Because let me tell you, sister, love isn't everything. Okay, you need to make sure that you have it down pat what kind of partner you want. Everything down to, you know, I can't have a partner that refuses to do the dishes or whatever, you know. Take that time to figure it out, because you will find somebody. And if you're in a position where you are feeling like desperate and your goal is just to find love, there will be so many things that you negate on your list of needs, not even wants, but your list of needs in a partner, that will go to the wayside because you just have this yearning for love. So I think this is one of the most important ones on this list, is figure out what type of partner you want instead of just finding love or finding a boyfriend or finding a girlfriend. Okay, last one I have on here, because I feel like the list could go on forever when it comes to reframing resolutions, because there's all different kinds of resolutions. But the last one I have on here is I want to pay off debt. I think paying off debt is a wonderful resolution. It has been a resolution of mine for years, many years. It's continuing to be a resolution in 2026, or a goal in 2026. But again, I want to pay off debt, or I'm going to pay off my debt. I'm going to have zero debt is like vague and pressurized, and there's just no value in that. So the reframe is find out what is causing the bleeds and figure out ways that you can make more money. One of the greatest tips I got in, when it comes to paying off debt or being on a debt payoff journey is you can't budget your way out of poverty. If you have debt to pay off, you need to make more money. And that is not to like give you anxiety or make you feel less than. You have the ability to make more money. I promise you. Even if you have a job where you're working, you know, you're a salaried employee, let's say you're making $75,000 a year, and no matter really where you live in this world, but especially in a major city, $75,000 is not enough money to live off of, and it's certainly not enough money for you to live off of and pay down your debt. So for one, if you're really happy where you're working, see if you can ask for more money. If you are not happy, and if you're not happy, you can leave, and leaving a job is the best way to make more money. Every single time I have left an employer, when I've gotten a new job, I've made minimum, at minimum 10K more per year every new job that I jump to. And that is how you make more money over time. And I am loyal. Like, I stay at companies a long time. Like, I you know, whatever. I'm not saying you have to jump from job to job every 6 months or even every 2 years. Like, it doesn't have to be like that. But when you do go from one job to another, that is where you can have the ability to ask for more money, because you have the privilege of being able to like write your own story when you go into a new company. So they don't need to know that you were only making 75K at that last job. All they need to know is that you are looking for positions that pay 100K. That's it. So, you know, moving, but even that's like still a big ask to move from like one job to another. I know that the job market is terrible. I was unemployed last year. It was a scary time, blah, 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 blah. I get it. You can still make more. You can still make money outside of this like salary job that isn't paying you enough money to live. This is another one where you can figure out ways to make money that don't necessarily feel like work. For me, when I was in a position of not making enough money and really needing to have extra income, I found dog walking. I found dog sitting. I was living alone in my apartment. I couldn't afford my rent. And so I had a dog in here that I was watching minimum once a week, minimum. And I capitalized on holiday weekends as well of having multiple dogs here. Obviously, if it was okay with the owners for them to cohabitate with other dogs, but find something that you can do outside of your normal day job where you can make more money. So even if you have a job where you have to be in the office at 9 a.m., I guarantee you there is someone in your neighborhood that, they just had a baby and they're looking for someone to take their dog out every day at 7 a.m. You can be that person. You can take that dog on their 30-minute walk at 7 and still be at the office for 9. There are ways where you can make extra cash and you not be completely miserable. I'm going to move on from this because I'm time to move on. But yeah, if you're listening to this and you're thinking like, I honestly could use some guidance or just some advice on how I can tackle anything going into the new year, shoot me a DM. I would be happy to collab with you and see what advice I can give you, because I feel like I give good advice. Okay, moving on. Oh, wow. Okay. I already made a TikTok about this, but I thought it'd be fun to talk about on the podcast of what is out in 2026. Of course, we can see what is in on 2026, like in on 2026, drink more water. Of course, I wanted to take a look at what is out in 2026. I love when I come across these TikToks. So I made one of my own, but I thought, let's talk about it here on the podcast. So here is my list of things that are out in 2026. Number 1, before and after weight loss content that is not inspiring. So I've talked about this a little bit before on the show, but I hate when I come across content where it's somebody that's, January 2025, 350 pounds, June of 2025, 230 pounds. It's like, how did you lose over 100 pounds in 6 months? Clearly, that's either not true. They're trying to sell you something like a MLM supplement that doesn't work, or it's GLP-1. And again, nothing wrong with GLP-1, more power to you. But that is not inspiring weight loss content to me. To me, inspiring content is seeing you in a place or having a story behind it that is not just centered around weight loss. Weight loss can be a part of the story, but it doesn't have to be your storyline. And so, yeah, I'm out with uninspiring weight loss content. If I see it, you are blocked. You're reported. Realistically, I'm probably just going to scroll through and not like it and maybe mute you. But yeah, not for me. Okay, number 2, saying you are losing weight for your health. That is a very common thing where the naysayers of body neutrality and body positivity, the naysayers say, well, I'm losing weight for my health. Sure, I am not saying that obesity is not a comorbidity. Of course, there are things health-wise that obesity can exacerbate, and it would behoove you to lose weight so that those things don't happen, like high blood pressure, whatever, list goes on. There are many things that losing weight can help improve your health. The reason why I don't like anyone saying that they are losing weight for your health is the fact that losing weight does not equal healthy. There are plenty of ways where you can lose weight that result in losing health. I wasn't even a slip of the tongue. No, there are plenty of ways that you can lose weight that is completely unhealthy. And I think that if you want to lose weight, saying that you're doing it for your health is kind of a cop-out. Instead, I would prefer people say that they are on a health improvement journey or something. I don't want to police what people say, but for me, losing weight for your health is out because that's not exactly what it's rooted in. We live in a fat phobic society. Thin is in, Ozempic is king. I don't buy it that you're just losing weight for your health. Okay. Number 3, I feel very strongly about this one. Glorifying celebrity weight loss. I'm done with it. I don't care that Melissa McCarthy has, become a whole new person, has gotten a whole new face. I don't care that Kris Jenner has a new face. I don't care. I don't give a damn that you lost a bunch of weight, even though whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The real reason why I am done glorifying celebrity weight loss is it has never been easier for a rich person to lose weight in the United States of America. It has never been easier for a celebrity or a rich person to lose weight, and it is so hard for a normal middle to lower class person to just survive. So when celebrities come out and they've lost a ton of weight, maybe they look amazing, maybe they look like a deflated balloon, I'm not here to discuss that, okay? The glorification of celebrity weight loss is something where we're not getting the whole picture, right? So I'm a celebrity, I take Ozempic, I lose all the weight. The conversation isn't even about whether the Ozempic is affordable or not, because there are many telehealth companies where for a large majority, not everybody, but a large majority of people can get their hands on some GLP-1 or semaglutide, whatever. They can get their hands on it and they can lose the weight. But what the normal person may not have access to, that the celebrity does have access to, is the plastic surgery that is then necessary to look amazing, or however the new celebrity looks. I'm talking excess skin surgery. I'm talking facelifts, or any kind of body reconstruction that your insurance company is not going to approve for you. So that is a big reason why I'm done glorifying celebrity weight loss, especially because we really, as a society, pick and choose who we want to glorify and who we want to vilify. I do not have enough time to get into the whole Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande conversation about their body size. For one, that ship has kind of sailed. Like, are we even talking about it anymore? And for two, I would want to, I've been wanting to have more like flushed out thoughts about that whole thing before ever being on record speaking about it. Will say I did see Wicked for Good, and the thinness took away from the movie for me. That's all I'll say about that. Okay, number 4. Not doing things because you feel too much like an outsider. If you feel like you don't belong in an arena, so you're not going to try to step into that arena, that is out in 2026, okay? That is limiting self-beliefs, that is keeping yourself in a box, and it has been something that has kept me in a state of stasis for too long, and I am done with it, okay? This is everything from like, apply to that job that you don't feel like you're qualified for. Reach out to that person to ask if you can do that show if you feel like you're not enough of a headliner. Whatever. Throw that party you're afraid that people won't show up to. Do not hold yourself back, because the universe provides you with the resources when you decide that you are ready to utilize those resources. I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times, but I was terrified of group fitness. Terrified. I felt like an outsider. I felt like I don't want to be the biggest body in the room. What does that mean about me? Will they even like me there? And getting past that fear has led me to find a community that I love in, Pure Barre, Pilates, whatever. So, and really what it comes down to, if you find yourself in a space where you feel like uncomfortable and you don't feel like you're meant to be there, and there are people within that space that's making you feel like you're not meant to be there, fuck them. Bye. Who cares? I'm here, bitch. Okay. Number 5, what's out in 2026? Owning a scale. I've said this before too. You do not need to have a scale in your home where you can just get up right now, walk over and weigh yourself and see a number. It's bad for the brain, baby. No, we don't need a scale in the house. And if you're saying, well, I'm on a journey and I want to keep track and I'm keeping track of my weight. Okay, fine. Maybe tracking your weight is part of what you do to help you. And it's something that you've been doing to keep track of your weight loss or whatever, or even weight gain, depending on where you're coming from. I don't know what to tell you there. My advice would be weigh yourself when you go to the doctor. That's the once a year I go is when I'm like, oh, that's where I am. And believe me, I know how I'm doing in my body because I, have two eyes and a brain and a mirror that reflects back at me. So the only time I've utilized a scale in any sort of body modification process, it has only been a tool used to discourage me. So out with the scale. Who has a square footage anyways? Trash. Okay, number 6. What's out in 2026? Being a poser. Now, might sound might sound like that competes against number 4, not doing things because you feel too much like an outsider. I believe that these both can exist on the same list because being a poser is you want to be in something, you want to be in a scene, you want to be in a group, you want to be attached to something, but you're not willing to be about it. Okay, that's what I'm saying. I think that what's in 2026 is calling people out for being posers. When you have a poser in your group, you are disrupting the ecosystem. It can cause fractures, it can cause frays in the group. Being a poser in 2026 is out because it's not authentic. You're trying on a face that doesn't work for you, and I don't like it. And honestly, you'll probably hear more on that from me in this year because I feel very strongly about it. Okay, number 7. Not sticking to your agenda because you don't feel like doing something. I am so guilty of this. I will have my agenda written out for the next day, and then I don't wake up early enough to do what I got to do or whatever. I'm a human being. These things are going to happen. But the reason why I want to have it be an out for this coming year is because I end up getting done what I need to get done for the most part, but it's always under duress. And I am sick and tired of operating under duress. And there is so much I want to accomplish. There's so much I want to be about so that I'm not a poser. And I can't do that if I don't stick to my schedule. This idea of, oh, I can do it tomorrow, whatever. Yeah, sure, you can do it tomorrow. But then tomorrow comes and you're like, God damn, I waited to the last minute again. And try to stick to that agenda, man. Rewrite the story that you're a last minute kind of person. That's, I know pressure makes a diamond, but there are ways that you can feel pressure without it feeling like there is a gun to your head. Okay. Number 8, keeping anything in your closet that doesn't fit or you don't love out this year. Guys, if you're listening to this on Friday, June 2nd, clean out your closet this weekend. For me, the new year doesn't really start until whatever the following Monday is. So that would be, in this case, Monday the 5th? New year starts on the 5th. Whatever. Deadlines are arbitrary, universally, really. So you get rid, if there is nothing in your closet, if there is something in your closet that you wouldn't put on and want to walk down the street, weather depending, obviously, it's got to go because your closet is like a portal. And if you have a ton of junk in your portal, it's like having tartar on your teeth. You wouldn't leave your house with muck on your teeth and grossness on your teeth. You would take your toothbrush and you would scrub that shit so that you go into the world and people aren't like, why does she have fucking muck on her teeth? No. Same thing with your closet. Go in there. I understand keepsake keepsake articles of clothing. You can, of course, keep your Sweet 16 dress. You can, of course, keep that memento, high school hoodie or whatever. Like, keep those in the back of your closet. But if every other article of clothing is something where you're like, why do I even own this? But I think I might need this. Or if I lost 5 pounds, it would fit perfectly. It's got to go. Because then guess what? You get to buy more clothes. It's like, maybe you're thinking like, Kelly, I'm on a budget. I'm trying to do a no buy, whatever. There's secondhand stores. There, hit up Buffalo Exchange, hit up Depop. Like, you get that excess energy out of there. It's plaque, it's tartar, it's bad. Get it out. Okay. Number 9, isolating. Isolating is out in 2026. Now, I am an introvert. I prefer being at home. I need to be alone to recharge my batteries, reset, feel like a person again so that I'm not actively disassociating when I'm out in the world. Having said that, you are like a hair away from total isolation and finding yourself in a depressive episode where you're not showering when you're built like that. And I'm just speaking from experience. So what do I say when I say isolating is out? If you have a night where you want to be in and you don't want to bother with people, it's Friday night, and you're like, oh, I should really go out on a Friday night. This is ridiculous. But really, in your heart of hearts, you want to stay in. There are just a few things you can do so that you don't feel like you're in this depressive whatever. First thing is send someone a text checking in on how they're doing, or call your grandma. If you're lucky enough where your grandma or your mom or your parents are still alive and you have the ability to call them, unless, of course, you're doing some no contact thing, obviously respect that. Don't bean soup me. Give them a ring. And if you're like, oh, every time I call my grandma, I'm on the phone for an hour, whatever, tell yourself, I'm going into this for 15 minutes. Maybe you can give your grandma a call and be like, oh, I'm just getting ready to head out. And so, I just wanted to check in and say hi. And that way you're kind of setting at the top of the call, bitch, I'm going to give you 15 minutes, do that, because that little bit of connection, like, it's almost like stretching for your brain, of like telling your brain that, like, yes, I'm staying in tonight, but like I still am a person of the world that has connections. The other thing that if you're like, I need 48 hours to just be in my apartment and like not talk to anybody and like barely leave the house, I understand that like weekends like that can be chicken soup for the soul as well. It is imperative that when you do that, you journal at least a little bit. Even if you're just like writing down fragmented thoughts of like what might be upsetting you or what you want to achieve. Doing that kind of like reflecting and journaling is productive when you're in an isolating phase. When I say isolating is out in 2026, I'm talking about we are not just, we're not just holing up and doom scrolling and like binging Housewives, which kind of sounds like a perfect weekend, but you kind of leave feeling a little bit icky and like, ugh, no. I'm not saying we need to be productive 100%, but help yourself, like if you're going to be isolating, fine. Lay out your outfit for the next day, put out your clothes to hit that Pilates class or do that morning walk so that, you can have your reset time and then hit the ground running the next day. Okay. Coming towards the end of this list. Number 10, sacrificing your life for optimal shareholder value. What do I mean by this? I am a creative with the day job, and I am very grateful for my day job. I actually really like my day job. It's actually the first job I've had in maybe my entire career where I feel both compensated for the work that I do and I like the people around me that I work with. And so this is like no shade to my job. I quite frankly love my job. But there are times where I will sacrifice my creative pursuits because I want to do a good job at my day job. And, you know, if you're an artist in any way, I found with artists that artists are very hardworking people. And whether that's, you know, you're working hard at your craft or you're working hard at the thing that like keeps a roof over your head, you're still putting in so much effort. So I, for example, if it's like a Wednesday night and I don't have an acting class to get to or a show that I'm booked on or a podcast recording scheduled, and it's just on my own to like go out and maybe like do open mics, I am somebody that will stay late at my day job to get done what I need to get done, because I work hard at the things that I do. It's just kind of how I'm wired. It's how I'm built. So, what we're not going to do is sacrifice our creative pursuits for the man, because really, even if you love your job and your best friend is your boss, making money for other people is making money for the man. And that's not to demonize the people that employ you, because they're great in most cases. For me specifically, they're great. And so if you are paid a salary and that salary requires you to work 40 hours a week, work 40 hours a week. And maybe that means, you know, wake up a little bit earlier so that you start at 9 so that you can end at 5 or 5:30, whatever the case is. I, for myself, find that when I have a really busy day, I want to like kind of disassociate on my phone for some time. And it's like, yeah, I can do that, but I am then cutting into the time that is meant for me to, you know, get on stage or write or record or take an improv class, whatever the case may be. So just something to consider. Okay. And then number 11, most importantly, what is out in 2026 is not subscribing to the podcast I Feel Fat Today on YouTube. You know where to find us. I Feel Fat Today on YouTube. We have full video episodes there every week, every Friday, LOL. And yeah, subscribe to us there. Follow us on Apple Podcast. Follow us on Spotify. Please interact. Follow us on Instagram. You know, we're trying to do big things here. I'm working on we've had great guests in the past, and I'm working on an even better roster for the future. And listener support is what keeps this whole thing going. Just your vibes and your likes. And yeah, that's it. That's the show. I hope you liked it. We're back, baby. We are back. What is in 2026 is being back, recording, putting out content. And I just hope that this show connects with people. If you find that this show connects with you, you know, not only is a comment on YouTube or a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever, not only does it help there, but even just sending me a DM being like, hey, caught your pod, really like it, whatever. I love it. I love it. I would love to know your thoughts. Just don't be mean. Okay, that's it. This feels good. I'm glad we got this recorded. I hope you liked it, and we'll talk to you next Friday. Bye.